The Missouri Tigers look to build off an 11-win season a year ago and reach the 12-team college football playoff. What is the most important game for Mizzou in the 2024 season? Hello, everyone. I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you like, subscribe, turn notifications. Check us out via podcast wherever you get your podcasts. You can also find us across all social media platforms, as well as our website, secunfiltered.com. We're brought to you by our friends over at RHOBACK. Guys, go to RHOBACK.com. Use promo code SECU to get 20% off your first purchase. That's RHOBACK.com. Promo code SECU to get 20% off today. Eli Drinkwitz and the Missouri Tigers look to build off an 11-win season that saw them beat Ohio State in the Cotton Bowl, and now all sights are set on making the 12-team college football playoff, as Missouri is one of the hopefuls to reach double-digit wins and get to the playoff. And guys, as we look at the 2024 schedule, as we look at the slate for Mizzou, and we pose the question, what is the most important game for Missouri? What's the game that this team needs to have that's going to go a long way in shaping their season and if they're going to reach their goals? And guys, like I mentioned, that goal, it's college football playoff or bust. We've heard a lot this offseason, right, about Missouri's schedule. They could be favored in 11 of 12 games. And so it almost feels like, guys, very similar to some others in the SEC where if you do not make that 12-team college football playoff, this season is nothing short of a disappointment. So again, looking at this schedule, guys, I think there's a number of different directions you can go here. And admittedly, guys, it was actually somewhat difficult for me to narrow the focus to picking one game, right? You start with the SEC opener at Texas A&M, right? That game's going to be tricky in College Station. You know you're going to get that one early, but still, Kyle Fields going to be rocking. It's going to be shaking. Year one of Mike Elko. A&M's one of those dangerous teams, right? Right there in that 8 to 9, maybe 10-win range. They've got their own college football playoff expectations as well. Guys, I go a couple weeks later. You look at Auburn. This game is homecoming. It's in Como. I get that. Auburn's going to be one of those scary teams to play this year. They're not going to be a 9 or 10-win team, I think, but I think Auburn on any given week, especially if they get the best version of Peyton Thorne, is going to be capable of pulling an upset. Of course, guys, the one at Alabama in Tuscaloosa. That's going to be a massive game, right? I think that's going to be one. We mentioned Mizzou in the preseason at least going to be favored in 11 of 12 games. That is the one that right now they're not, but who knows, guys, what's going to happen with the Alabama Crimson Tide in year one of Kalen DeBoer. Maybe, just maybe, we're looking at Missouri being the favorite in Tuscaloosa. Somewhat hard to grasp, if you will. There's the game coming off the bye week against Oklahoma. Some bad blood in that one. At South Carolina is a tricky game at Williams-Brice Stadium. You close out with Arkansas as well. So, guys, there are landmines, you could say, all over this schedule. And by the way, guys, I want to go back and say at Texas A&M, that's not the SEC opener for Mizzou. That comes 2 weeks prior against Vandy. Somehow I glossed over Vandy. I do apologize to the Commodores. But either way, guys, when you look at this schedule, and again, it's college football playoff for us, guys. Like when you look at the schedule, you look at what Mizzou's got coming back with Brady Cook leading the way offensively, Luther Burden on the outside. I think Theo Weiss Jr., guys, is one of the most underrated players in the SEC going in this season because all the attention is on Luther Burden and a retooled running game. And of course, Brady Cook. I think Theo Weiss Jr., he could go to a lot of places and be wide receiver one right now. You got to replace Blake Baker, of course. The defense is going to be a new look defense. The good news for Mizzou, you're going to have the first couple of weeks, essentially the first month of the season to get some things figured out on the defensive side. But, guys, when you look at this schedule, and the good news is this, you got some wiggle room, right? You don't have to go undefeated to get into a playoff. You don't have to go even 11-1. If you can go 10-2 or better, you can make a college football playoff. So let's say, guys, even if you lose to Alabama, that's the most likely loss on this schedule. That's going to be the one, I think, guys, that's probably Mizzou's most difficult game of the 2024 season. I don't think that's a stretch to say. So let's say you lose that one, right? You've got room for one more loss, but you don't have room for two more. And guys, again, I went back and forth on this because I think the game at Texas A&M is wildly important. I think the game against Auburn's wildly important. I think the season finale against Arkansas, that Arkansas, I don't think they're going to be great. That one's still very important. At South Carolina is a trap game, if you will. But my mind goes to, for the most important game of this season for Missouri football, the game in Como in the month of November against the Oklahoma Sooners. I think we're going to be getting to a point in the season, guys, where the margin for error is virtually going to be zero. Mizzou may have 2 losses getting here. Hey, they may also have 0, guys. Let's throw that out there. But I think when you think about, guys, when you talk about bad blood, guys, I think this is probably one of the most underrated bad blood games of the 2024 season. Missouri and Oklahoma fans, they do not like each other. Missouri and Oklahoma, the programs, do not like each other. The Caden Green stuff over the offseason, it only adds fuel to that fire. There has been a lot of trash talk back and forth. This is going to be one of those fun new rivalries, if you will, that we get now that Oklahoma and Texas have joined the league. But looking at Mizzou's schedule, guys, this is where you need to be hitting your peak, right? We're going to be getting closer and closer and closer to postseason play beginning. You're going to be coming off that game at Alabama. You're going to be coming off a tough stretch of SEC games. You've got the bye week. I zero in on that game against Oklahoma, guys, as the most important game of the 2024 season. Because, again, you've got wiggle room. You can lose to Bama and still make a college football playoff. You can lose 1 more, but you can't lose 2 more. And so I look at that Oklahoma game. There's bad blood all over the field. One of the most underrated bad blood games of this season. And I think that ball game, guys, late in the season, because you look at the last 3, at South Carolina, at Mississippi State, Arkansas, you should be able to go 3-0 in those games. But you could almost say, guys, this Oklahoma game kind of sets the tone for the last couple weeks of the season. And, of course, going into championship week, if you make an SEC title. And then, of course, guys, the college football playoff starting up just a couple weeks later. You want to be playing your best football when you get to this time of year. And, guys, Missouri, Oklahoma, one of those new rivalries we get with the additions of OU and Texas, and one of the most bad blood games we're going to get in college football. Mizzou hates OU. OU hates Mizzou. That's going to set up for one hell of a matchup in Como, and I think it is Missouri's most important game of the 2024 season. So, guys, I pose the question to you. What's the most important game for MIZ this season? What's the game they have to have in order to achieve their expectations and hit their goals? Do you agree with me? Is it the game against Oklahoma? Is it at Alabama? Is it at A&M? Is it something else? Let us know. What's the most important game for Missouri in the 2024 college football season? Guys, that's going to do it for me. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button on YouTube. Hit that bell icon as well so you get notifications of when we go live and when we drop new video content. Also, guys, check us out via podcast wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us, of course, across all social media platforms as well as our website, SECUnfiltered.com. Until next time, guys, I'm Chris Phillips of SEC Unfiltered. Appreciate each and every single one of you tuning in, and we'll catch you on the other side.